Okay, how to shock yourself with just how fast you can be versus what your expectations are at the moment, and when to hold yourself back. Now, I had a great question from Kev in the comments. Tried 20 times 1 minute today and managed to average 10 seconds per rep quicker than I targeted. Heart rate back down into zone 2 each time from a walking recovery, as I just preferred to keep moving forward between reps. Should I target the same pace I achieved for my next session, 12 times 2 minutes, or stay conservative? I'm training for my first marathon in October, target 3:45 to 4 hours. That's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, because to go out there and achieve 10 seconds per rep, 10 seconds per pace per minute faster, I thought the guy was doing 60 seconds reps then in 50 seconds, which is absolutely astonishing. Only Superman can do that. But he means pace, 10 seconds pace per kilometer faster, which is a big, big difference. If you compare that to what he's trying to do in a marathon, 3:45 to 4 hours, that's a big difference for the 5K, and it's gonna lead to somewhere good. And if we're watching the heart rate come down, back into a comfortable zone, zone 1 and zone 2 is where you can kind of have a conversation. You're ready, you're in control of the rep, you're in control of each rep, and then you're in control of a set of reps and then the entire session. So he's in control clearly. So he's shown with 20 times 1 minute, there's something there, and this is probably his first speed work and how his body is reacting. So 20 times 1 minute, nicely done it, nicely paced it, it's all consistent. 20 times 1 minute with 10 seconds per kilometer faster, and he's brought his breathing under control, his heart rate under control. So what should he do next? Now here's the interesting thing. So he wants to do 12 times 2 minutes, or he's thinking of doing 12 times 2 minutes, and at the same pace. So he's going to keep the pace the same as what he achieved. He's going to up the volume, total volume of the session, 20% from 20 minutes to 24 minutes, and he's going to increase the rep length by double. So he's increasing two things there. The rep length going double will make the session harder naturally. The total volume going up by 20% from 20 minutes to 24 minutes will make the session harder, and he's going to try to keep that same pace. Now, obviously, he had a target in mind. He had an idea of what he could do, and that was towards goal 5K pace, and he can do 10 seconds per kilometer faster when he's running a minute rep. So that means there's something to work on there. What I would do as a more safe or sensible way is keep the volume the same. So just do 20 minutes and take the rep length to 90 seconds. So I'd do 12 or 13 times 90 seconds. See if you can hold the same pace, but be aware that that might have been a great session. All the stars might have been aligned, and actually your target pace, what you were aiming for, might have been what you were capable of. So be aware of that and kind of feel the session out. So again, is your heart rate, after the first rep, warm up properly and make sure you don't get the first rep too slow or it's not too much of a struggle. You want to be sweating when you start an interval session. So is that first rep, is it manageable? Do I feel in control of the rep? And what is my heart rate doing? Again, he's clearly watching his heart rate. So what is my heart rate doing from the moment I finish the rep to the moment I'm starting again? Is that coming down nicely? What does it do after 2 or 3? If you are doing 90 seconds reps and you're keeping that 60 seconds and he's walking in between, which is absolutely fine. Listen, in terms of 60 seconds recovery, here's the deal. Now, 60 seconds recovery will keep that as a constant. It will keep that consistent. So if it's super hot, if it's freezing cold, if it's super humid or not, if it's perfect conditions, if it's windy in your favor or against you, all these variables we have to deal with all the time in running. If we can keep as much consistent as possible, like standing in one place for 60 seconds and watching the heart rate come down and improve over the weeks at coming down and gathering that fitness, that's a nice consistent. You can stand in one place. You can just stand in one place and see and monitor that over the weeks. If you're jogging, like somebody else asked me, it's like, okay, you'd also need to monitor the pace of that jogging, and 60 seconds isn't a long period of time. So your heart rate, if you're jogging, if you just kind of finish the rep, continue jogging and jog for a minute, it'll be over in a flash, and your heart rate won't come down, so you won't be able to manage to keep the session in control. And what I mean by that is we want to get the most out of the session. So if you're jogging in between, the likelihood is if your heart rate is getting up there, it's not coming down enough for you to control the session. And control the session by pushing as much as you can in those, for example, 20 times 1 minute. Pushing as much as you can. So you're going as fast as you can in control, so that you can see in the heart rate bumps that they're pretty consistent. The pace is going up to the same point, keeping the pacing is going good, but the heart rate in between the intervals, it's going up nicely during the interval, and then between the interval, it's coming down nicely. We want to see that consistency. I'll put an infographic on the page of like a 5 times 10 minute sessions or 20 times 1 minute session that I've done before, so you can see what that actually looks like and what it will look like for you. So feel the session out. So go for the 90 seconds reps. Aim to do 12, 13 of them, but watch exactly the same as the previous week, 20 times 1 minute. Watch what the heart rate is doing in between reps. So watch it go from high to back under control, able to do the next rep. And if you stay in control of each rep, naturally you're going to be in control of the session. And psychologically, the way I'd break it up is, okay, I've got 12 of these to do or 13 of these to do. I'm going to split them up into 4 threes and an extra one, you know? So mentally I would do that and just see that the heart rate is coming down, still 60 seconds in between each one, so you can see over the weeks how you're improving. Psychologically, you're not going to have any physiological benefits from that 20 times 1 minute after just 7 days. It's going to take longer for those benefits and that super compensation to compound over time. But what you will have is you'll understand what it feels like to run at that pace for a minute, and you'll understand what it feels like to recover as properly as you can, as fully as you can during that 60 seconds. So that experience in next week's session, by doing 12, 13 times 90 seconds, just proceed with caution. Look that everything's happening exactly the same as it was with the 20 times 1 minute. Yes, it's a little bit longer, the rep interval, but I'm not doing as many of them. And then if it gets to sort of 6, 7, 8 of them, you feel like, well, this is it's completely going out of control. My heart rate is not coming down. The reps feel like you could do one of two things. You can either chop the session, so you can literally stop the session after 6, 7, 8, and then maybe continue with 1 minute intervals. Or if you just want to stop the session and say, do you know what, I overreached a little bit too much, 90 seconds was a bit too much at this pace. Or you can bring the pace down so that you're going for your original target and proceeding with the 90 seconds, but you're going with the original target, which is a bit slower, which is 10 seconds per kilometer slower. So you can chop it up like that. So you don't, again, it's the art of coaching and being self-aware. And if you're looking at what the watch is doing, and ideally that's connected to a heart rate monitor, so you're seeing, okay, heart is loving this, heart's enjoying the session, heart's able to deal with the session, to cope with the session, it's under control. And that's always the magic word. Is this under control? I'm pushing, but not too much. And eventually, once you get that feeling under control, it's so natural that you feel like you actually really enjoy interval sessions, and that's how it should be. That's the majority of your super compensation. As long as you're getting the endurance and stamina on the Sunday long run, this is the majority. This Wednesday interval session is the majority of your super compensation. So the more that you enjoy them, and they're my favorite sessions, the more that you enjoy them, it's not actually pushing so that you're kind of tasting blood in a session. We're not doing a VO2 max test or even a lactate threshold and watching the kind of lactate just go out of control. This is within ourselves. So it's actually a lot of fun. An interval session should feel like a lot of fun. And I know a lot of you are getting into it and doing 20 times 1 minute and then 12, 13 times 90 seconds, then 10 times 2 minutes and those kind of sessions. And it will feel, and I check what you feel like today, it will feel sometimes that depending on what your background is, it might be quite easy for the heart and lungs to cope with that. And so watching your heart rate come down might just be, okay, heart's dealt with this before because I've got a football background or I've got a cycling background, and it's not actually that big a deal for me. Whereas physically, if you're doing speed for the first time, it might actually take it out of the body, out of the muscles. And so you want to proceed with caution that way. So if you try to do too much, like it's a big jump from 20 times 1 minute to 12 times 2 minute at the same pace. That's a big jump. And there's red flags there. You're asking for trouble. And I'd kind of note that down to that's going to be a little bit too much. You wanted to go for 2 minute intervals and you wanted to just do 10 of them. Again, you could either reduce the pace to make it easier, but if I was you, I'd want to continue at that pace you've achieved and just push it on to 90 seconds and see where I can go with that. And what that then looks like, if you're targeting, say, 25 minutes for 5K, 10 seconds per kilometer is another minute off almost. And it is another minute off when you kind of like, you're in control of the 5K and pushing towards the end. You're getting an extra 10 seconds, so you get the 60 seconds off. So all of a sudden you were aiming for your goal dream 5K time was 25 minutes. And you wanted to be sub 25 minutes. And not only have you achieved it, but you've also smashed it out of the park and run under 24 minutes. So this is how you can pinch fitness, how you can steal fitness along the way. But it's got to be in a controlled method. You've got to always think running is all about risk versus reward. After a big interval session, question for me is on that recovery day is risk reward. What am I actually getting out of this recovery run? Is it enough to warrant going out there and taking a risk after I really pushed myself yesterday? Exactly the same on a Monday after a weekend long run. Yesterday it was quick and therefore, there's a large segment of that marathon pace or quicker. Today I feel fragile. I can feel the tightness even when I get out of bed. I've rehydrated, I've ate well. I'm putting all the good stuff in me. I'm making sure that I'm as ready. I'm setting myself up for success for this recovery run to go well. So I can definitely draw a line under that Sunday long run. But if the risk reward is too high, then just back off. None of those sessions are going anywhere. If that means that the recovery run then needs to happen on the Tuesday and an easy run on a Wednesday, and then the interval session again on the Thursday and correct your week, so be it. But it will always come down to the consistency over the weeks of you boxing off sessions, recovering from them nicely, then going again for the long run to build endurance and stamina, and those, again, nicely feed back into each other. And we should be aiming at something that shocks us. It should be exciting for us to get out there, and we should be enjoying the interval session. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're getting something from this. And if you did, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you've got any great questions like that about your training and you're in there, you're getting it done, but you just have a little kind of doubt, please let me know in the comments below.